Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. This is another Roma Press live stream. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been here. It's been a while since we've had a live stream. The last live stream that I recorded, obviously, was sort of a mid-season review. It felt like a fitting time. It happened shortly after Claudio Ranieri was appointed manager, after Ivan Juric was sacked, and I came on here to share my thoughts with you all and try to contain the madness that Roma had offered us in the first half of the season. I don't think anybody at that point, when I recorded that live stream, could have predicted the way things would have turned out for Roma, and so we are here to talk about not only Paulo Dybala's major injury, which will require surgery, season-ending surgery. So essentially, the season is over for Paulo Dybala. But we will also sort of go over the recent games together, and we can also discuss, obviously, what awaits Roma in the coming weeks. So I want to give everybody a warm welcome. Thank you for bearing with me, for bearing with us. I know we hadn't done a live stream in a long time. As I said, it's been since December. Lives can get hectic, and sometimes also, with the team playing twice a week, it really became tough to, you at some point you have to realize, okay, what can I bring to the table? What more is there to say? But I do think that this thing with Dybala can open up a whole interesting bag of things. So I want to welcome everybody. I'll be reading off the comments, obviously, as always. So Jay Macklin, what up? Good to see you guys. Anthony, happy first day of spring. Thank you, Anthony. Hope you're doing well. Gyokeres is up. I'm good. Thank you. And Angel, man, this Dybala thing is a disaster. Obviously, you're not the only one who feels that way. My God, he has returned. Welcome back, Andy. Thank you, Nino. Really, thank you, everybody, for your support. It really means a lot to see that people not only follow us, but read us, click us, and also wait for these live streams. I am sure that at some point during the off season, I'll get back to doing more of them. It kind of built up a bit over the months with so many games being played. We would do these podcasts every 2 3 days with John, basically. So this week, with this international break, I think we will take a bit of a pause with the podcasting. I will try and get back into the live stream mojo, because I also think that it's nice for us as a community to come together and discuss things. So, guys, you know the drill. Any comments, any questions, anything that you want to share about your view on this Dybala situation, or on Roma's recent streak, on Roma's transfer plans, whatever, the next coach, the what Roma should do with just their club hierarchy in the summer, whatever, just write it in the comments. I'll be responding, I'll be reading. I'm excited. I got my big tall glass of water, because what I learned in recent months is you got to stay hydrated, especially if you're talking into a microphone. It seems like I had built up some something here, and it kept bugging me, and it's been bugging me for a while now. It's slowly starting to go away. So here I am. I'm back. So the news of the day, guys, I'm not going to be dancing around it, is Roma have a major problem on their hands. We have 9 games left in the season, and Paulo Dybala will not be playing any more games for Roma. Arguably, in my opinion, perhaps his best season at Roma so far, his most consistent, for sure. I would even say his most decisive. Paulo Dybala has come through on so many occasions for Roma this year. There was that moment, obviously, where with Juric, he struggled because perhaps that kind of crucial degree of freedom that he requires in order to be a star had been taken away from him. But overall, Paulo Dybala was balling this season, especially from a physical standpoint. This man had gone months without an injury, and we know how rare that is with him. So Roma not only lose an amazing player, which is what we would have said last year or the year before. And that was the truth. When Paulo Dybala went down at the end of last year or the previous year, Roma lost an amazing player, a star player. But the Paulo Dybala that Roma lose now is a quintessential leader of the team. Like this is a huge blow for Roma, not only because of how good technically Paulo Dybala is, but how important he's been for the team this season. I mean, for me, really, it's I look at his 3-year run with Roma, and I would argue that this is the season where he has shown a level of maturity that we hadn't seen before. A level of maturity that perhaps we hadn't seen since his days at Juventus, really, because what he's been able to do since obviously Ranieri came in was to take Roma by the hand and show them that, okay, I'm the best player on the team. There is no doubt about it, but I'm going to do everything I can to help you guys as well. And so we never had the feeling that he was sacrificing his game or that Roma were sacrificing themselves for him. It felt like a beautiful tandem. Everything seemed to be working great. As far as, for example, Dovvic, who's still become a sort of a foreign element in this team, still a bit of an alien. Paulo Dybala has managed to sort of rework the flow of the team. He's one of the main reasons as to why Roma have gone on such a great run with Ranieri at the helm. Jay Macklin says, it may not be great, but I feel like Dybala being out isn't nearly the disaster that it was the last 2 seasons when this sort of thing happened. Thank God Sule has hit a bit of a stride these months. Jay Macklin, you hit at a beautiful point there, again. So sort of coming back to the main point of we lose Dybala, we lose a key player, but we lose him in a season where exactly, Jim Macklin, in a season where, mind you, has anybody forgotten what the point of Sule coming in was? When Sule was brought in, and he even admitted it himself, when he was brought in, Sule was brought in because Roma were planning to part ways with Dybala. So Roma already set up this season as the season where they get to play without Paulo Dybala. Then obviously we know what happened. The big decision, whatever you want to call it in LeBron James terms. Paulo Dybala made up his mind, decided to reject the offer from Alcazea and stayed at Roma. Right? He made that whole big announcement before the game against Empoli. We lost that game. It was pathetic. It was humiliating, but he stayed, and now there is talk of him staying on. Okay, right? So he extends his contract with Roma. He stays on. But in the meantime, Roma have guys like Mattia Sule and Tommaso Baldanzi who are sitting there waiting for their chance. What Claudio Ranieri has been doing steadily over the recent weeks, especially, is to give Sule and Baldanzi opportunities, not only off the bench, but also from the start in some key games. I really liked what I saw from Baldanzi in recent weeks. He was really a bright spot for Roma, even in situations where you did not expect him to be. In games where you thought, oh, perhaps the moment will be too great for him, the spotlight will be too great for him. No, Baldanzi really played very, maturely for what we expected of him going into the season. We were a bit unsure, and even at the beginning, right? Ranieri comes in, and both him and Sule barely get any playing time. There is talk of both of them leaving in January, and yet steadily there is this kind of progress with Ranieri, not even based on minutes, but also just personality wise. Because Sule right now, if you put him on the pitch, Sule plays with much more personality than at the beginning of the season. So we are here exactly in a moment where it hurts a lot to lose this Dybala. This version of Dybala is very, very important. And for a player like him to get surgery, you never know how fit he'll be in 3 months, what will be the consequences of this injury, and etc., etc. But it happens also at a time where Roma, they turn to the bench and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we got Mattias Sule, we got Tommaso Baldanzi. um this is fine, right? It should be fine. At least that's, I think, that was the plan all along, right? If Roma go out of their way and they splash almost 30 million on someone like Mattias Sule, the plan has to be to believe in these guys, to believe that they can come through in these moments, right? When someone like Dybala goes down, the whole point of my praise and John's praise as well of Claudio Ranieri's work so far was that he was able to give value to almost every single member of the team. I mean, for crying out loud, even Saud has been playing for Roma. He's given minutes to basically everybody, just even a little bit, but still. So I believe that this injury happens at a time where, sure, it hurts our chances of even dreaming of competing for top four in these final 9 games of the season. But it happens in a moment where the team is rolling, and it's doing so thanks to what I always refer to: strength in numbers. Um, yeah, absolutely. Guys, click the like button. Help Andy. He deserves it. Yes, please, guys, help me. I need help. I need the likes, guys. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. You can click the bell so you get notifications when a new video of the Roma Press podcast drops, or if I schedule these live streams, you can get notified, and that's cool. And if you like what we do with John at Roma Press, you can always become a patron at patreon.com/Roma Press, and every bit helps. So thank you, guys. We have Sule and Baldanzi to hold his role properly. But Andy, what do you think this means for Pellegrini now? He's not the one seen to step into this role, which makes it difficult for him to. That's true. Pellegrini has faded a bit from that, that sort of role of the vice Dybala, or the player who is closest to Dybala in terms of pace, in terms of creativity, in terms of technical ability, in terms of reading the pitch. Sure, but Pellegrini, I think that's a whole different discussion right now. Because again, I think with Pellegrini, just like with Sule and Baldanzi, it's not even a discussion about whether they fit that role, whether they can take on the responsibility of replacing Dybala, which is a huge responsibility, but it is also a matter of personality. And Ranieri hasn't shied away from saying to the media that Pellegrini lacks a little something in terms of personality. He called him an atypical Roman. He said that he doesn't have that extroverted, loud attitude, that most Romans, or at least most kids from Rome who play football, who grow up in their youth club and then go on to become captains of their club. He's not that guy, He's not the Daniele De Rossi with the vein on his neck. But with Pellegrini, we're also talking about a player who, it's not even about his role, Nino. I think this is, with Pellegrini, we're going into this very touchy territory, very touchy subject of what will happen to him in the summer. If you were to ask Pellegrini right now, probably, like, how do you feel? Like, are you happy? What's going through your head? I'm not sure we would get a positive answer, because this is a guy who has struggled. Why? While the rest of the team has done really well in recent weeks, Pellegrini has been decent on just a couple of occasions. So even from that point of view, if you were to pick someone between him, Baldanzi, Sule, to replace someone as vital as Dybala, Pellegrini, despite all his experience, despite his captain status, you're bound he's bound to go into third place behind guys like Sule and Baldanzi. So that can also be interpreted as good, because how many times did we arrive at this point of the season, right? Crucial injury, crucial player being out, and we only have one alternative, or we don't have an alternative at all, right? Who remembers Sergio Oliveira coming in and us clinging to him in Mourinho's first year, and hoping that this guy who, was already on his decline and hardly played with Porto, could fill about a million different roles, not only as defensive midfielder, but also offensive midfielder, and so on and so forth. And obviously, God bless him, he was amazing in the Europa League final. But the point stands that the team Roma, they never had the abundance on their roster. Right now, this is, as Jay Macklin's pointed out, probably the most ideal scenario involving an injury for Paulo Dybala, if there is something like that. Good point regarding Pellegrini. Perhaps he can fill the Dybala void. Drew, I wish him that. I really do, because he's got 9 games. Literally, he's got 9 games to. Pellegrini has 9 games to try and win back his place in this team, in this club, in the long-term future of the club. Guys, we tend to forget that Pellegrini was this close to joining Napoli right before the derby. Roma and Napoli, they seem to find an agreement, and Pellegrini scores in the derby, and that's the only way that he stays at Roma beyond the January window. So, oh, my good friend Mazin. Hi, Andy. I hope all good. Thank you, Mazin. I appreciate it. It sucks to lose Dybala, but I hope that this will give Baldanzi and Sule the chance to step up. Maybe Lorenzo Pellegrini redeeming himself. We all hope in the Pellegrini redemption. I would hate to see someone with his story, a guy who grows up in the youth team, captains the youth team, goes out on loan, comes back, has thousands of ups and downs, it seems like, over the years, but helps lead Roma to their first trophy in ages, first European trophy. And it would really suck to see him go out with only 1 year left before the expiry of his contract and join either Inter or Napoli. Those are the 2 clubs that are being mentioned as interested in him. So I really wish that in these next 9 games, he can prove everybody wrong, and including Ranieri, because Ranieri has been pretty harsh on Pellegrini. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but he's been pretty outspoken about Pellegrini's lacking form. So I've had enough of watching wingers playing wing backs, fullbacks playing center backs, midfielders playing defenders for 90 minutes. Marco, but I agree, but at the same time, it's been working. It's been working pretty okay with let's. This is another subject that is worth monitoring in these next weeks. This situation with Hummels after this mistake with Athletic Bilbao. I don't know exactly what the strategy will be. Will the strategy be to play him? Even though I would assume that not only did his confidence take a big blow, it seems like Mats Hummels' future at Roma is sort of marked. The old media reports in Italy all of a sudden have shifted their tone and are now saying that the guy will not renew his stay at Roma. It seemed like everything that was going perfectly under Ranieri went south as he got that red card in Bilbao. And it will be interesting to see if Ranieri tries to give him a chance, or perhaps opts for someone else like Victor Nelson in the final weeks. Maybe give someone else a run. That's another situation to keep our eyes on. It's a shame, again, just like kind of like with Pellegrini. There are these two storylines that really bother me this season. Pellegrini, because while the rest of the team is doing great, he is still not able to push through and be good, because we know that he can be good, but despite everybody else performing, he's just not the guy to perform well in this instance. And Hummels, who, it seemed like a fairy tale when Ranieri comes in and he starts playing regularly. And then there is that Milan game. He's basically ruled out for a few weeks to sort of rest. I don't know, regain his fitness, realign his mentals. I don't know what's happening there. Plays on a couple of occasions before the big match in Bilbao. We wait for his experience for that crucial game, and then we know what happens. And those two storylines really bother me. They're kind of, I wish that there would be a different ending to them. So, ciao, Andy. What a nice surprise to see you. Thank you so much, Mauri. Doing a live stream, it's just the same. It's a shame that it's because of the Dybala news. Yeah, I know. I wish we could be here to talk about something else. But I mean, the last time I mentioned, I could talk about other things, but they're not necessarily more upbeat. I could talk about the great Gene Hackman. But that wouldn't be a beat. Although you should all go and watch Gene Hackman movies. I can't stress that enough. The best actor who ever lived. In any case, I'm not too concerned. We have Pellegrini, Baldanzi, Soulé, who can all cover for him for one game per week. I would have been much more worried if we were still in the Europa League. Absolutely. We are looking at a schedule, a complicated one. We got Lecce, we got Juventus, we got Lazio, we got Verona, we got Inter. So not easy, far from easy, but exactly this one game per week. And like I said with John, this is the first time, I believe, in 5 years that we've ended our participation in a European competition this early. So this is the first time in 5 years where we are out of Europe in March, and we can take it easy while some other teams are still involved, right? So we got Lazio, we got Fiorentina, all busy with their European engagements. Hummels was so bad versus Milan, says Drew. Yeah, that was a nightmare performance from him. I think he was convinced that was going to be the worst that he was going to be this season, and yet then the Bilbao happened. So I wouldn't be against him renewing, maybe a full preseason, etc. Could help. Yeah, I think, but. I think in this situation, really, it comes down to sort of the club. What do the club want to do? Which direction they want to move in? Because I think Hummels was really sort of like a quick late fix, an opportunity more than anything else. And perhaps Roma will want to plan out their summer transfer market differently. And also with Hummels, it always depends on what he wants to do with his personal life. It's too bad Matthias Soulé hasn't developed sharing skills, holds the ball for too long. Otherwise, this is a perfect opportunity to improve in this area. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but listen, nobody thought that we were going to get a perfectly polished diamond with Soulé. Soulé is still someone who needs a lot of work, just like Baldanzi. Baldanzi, I was surprised by how mature Baldanzi was playing in recent weeks, but that's only because, I mean, he was able to get through that. He joins us last year in January. It's tough. He never really settles in. he is a bit of a foreign object as well, and it's not easy. And this season starts, and it's also not easy for him. It's not easy, but he eventually grows into a certain role. And I think with Sule, you have to do the same. You have to sort of understand that, hey, this is a guy who was important, yes, but for a team like Frosinone, okay. So there is like Massimiliano Allegri said, categorie. Yeah, there's levels to this. So it's quite natural, I would assume, that Sule, in his first season at Roma, huge pressure, goes through entire months of not playing, is linked with an exit from Roma in January after only 5 months in the capital. I think it's fair to sort of expect him to be a bit shaky. But this is a great moment for him. I mean, this is really, it's for him and Baldanzi. If I were them, I'd be salivating at the thought of potentially being, Roma's hero in the final weeks. This is 9 games where every game matters in an unbelievable fashion. I mean, we just said, this is that these past few weeks had all the games that you had to win and the pressure was on. Well, the pressure is on in these last 9 games. Recommend me your top 3 Gene Hackman movies. I'll check them out. Oh man, so many good ones. Okay, quick on the spot. I would say Night Moves. I'm going to give you underrated ones because, the French Connection, Unforgiven by Clint Eastwood. I love those. But Night Moves in 1975 by Arthur Penn. He's amazing in it. Well, I would say he's too amazing not to say that in Mississippi Burning. Fantastic. And he's hilarious in The Birdcage. If you guys haven't seen The Birdcage with Nathan Lane and Robin Williams, well, Gene Hackman is even funnier than those guys. So you got to check it out. Are they really offering VR 1.6 million while Pizzilli is earning around 2 million? That's a good question, Ahmad. I'm very curious because that I know what you're referring to. You're referring to the article published by Gianluca Di Marzio of Sky Sport. He's the only one that's published sort of the rumored offer that Roma made to Sviar in their negotiations for a contract renewal. As we know, Sviar's contract runs out in 2 years from now. That's not a problem. The problem is that the guy earns less than €1 million, right? So obviously he's so good, he's so important to the team that there is negotiations to not only extend his stay but also raise his salary. Now, Gianluca Di Marzio is the only journalist that came out and referred this number, 1.6 million. If that is true, I don't know when that offer was made, but it was definitely not made now, because if that was the offer that Roma came up with right now, it'd be quite a bit of an insult. And which is funny because, again, this is what happens with in Italian media. Someone says one thing and someone else says another thing, right? And then I have to relay that information on our website, and there is people who take issue with what the website is doing with it, which is relaying news that are put out by accredited journalists and media outlets. And in this case, Di Marzio says that there is still distance between Roma's offer and Sviar's demands. And then there is Il Tempo, which is, as you guys know, a great newspaper where Filippo Biafora, the good friend of this show, works for. Il Tempo comes out and says, well, there is distance, but there is optimism that an agreement can be found soon. So you see, and it happens within 2 hours. Within 2 hours, you get these 2 headlines. So what can you do? Absolutely. We know how important Miles VR is. And this guy, if Pizzilli is getting 2 million per season, which is not the case, this is what Pizzilli is getting, is a contract where the salary increases over time. So, but absolutely, I mean, we don't. Do we really need to compare the performances, the level of performances, the importance that Pizzilli versus VR have in this team? I mean, it's not even close. This VR is a star in the making. This VR could potentially wind up in the territory of Alisson. You know, the guy whom John and I laud as our God and Savior. You know, I mean, this is VR could could come close to Allison. I would argue that his VR has been tremendous, you know, and has been much closer to Allison than we'd like to admit. Even in recent weeks, even in the recent game that we saw a few days ago, means VR makes such incredible saves that he's basically gifting you the 3 points himself. End the season. Well, no, come on, guys. There's, as someone pointed out, it's 9 games. It's 1 game per week. Let's calm down. We got depth. We got a team that's been doing fairly well. Let's not go overboard with the pessimism. I mean, we could be sitting here. We could have been sitting here with a number of losses to our names in recent weeks. Maybe we could have been here sitting and thinking, oh my God, you know, these guys, how are they gonna do? No, there's still, I mean, we there is the awareness that this team has done really, really well. And I would argue that, sure, Dybala has been a huge contributor to that, but you know, he's one of the reasons, but he's just one. You know, right? There's more to this. There's more to this. That's what I'd like to believe. More live streams if possible. Thank you. I would love to. Sometimes it's as I explained it at the beginning of this live stream. What I found to be overwhelming was the fact that, you know, we'd be recording twice per week, and then you still have to come up with something to say for a live stream. I know a lot of people on YouTube, especially, they basically release content every day. I'm sorry, I don't roll like that, but it's also in fairness to the audience. I don't want to sound the same. I don't want to be here and search for words because I lack the material, right? I don't want to be here repeating myself over and over. I value the interaction. I want to keep it fresh, but absolutely, you know, it's a live stream makes sense when it's, you know, when the team is doing well. It's great to come together and be together in the good feeling, the positivity, which was not the case at the beginning of the season, as we all remember. Nikita, hello, Nikita. Thank you for being here. I do think 1.6 million for Mile isn't what he deserved. Yeah, absolutely. This is, you know, if it's true the 1.6, and if it's true that the request is 4, I don't think so. But if it's true, then you got to pay the man. I don't know how, but you got to pay, because someone like VR can change the fate of the club in the next 3-4 years. Okay, that's the kind of player he is. I think this summer we're gonna see many changes. You know, obviously someone like Leandro Paredes should stay and is staying. He extended his contract. Dybala will stay, obviously. Sule, Baldanzi, those guys will stay. But, you know, we will see movement. We will see Brian Cristante. I am fairly certain that he will leave. We will see, maybe Pellegrini leave. So there will be more space, right, for Miles VR salary. Like, that money for Miles VR will have to come from somewhere. This will not just pop out of nowhere, guys. Should we sell Saud and Salik and find new right backs replaceable for Wrench? But I don't even know how to feel about Saud. Salik has been amazing for the past month, and he's a huge reason why I think we lost against Bilbao. You know, if Salik plays, God, maybe we're going to Bilbao all the way, you know. Andy, end the season. We have incompetent captain, two strikers worse than each other, best player injured, and Salik. We're finished. Yeah. I know what you're trying to do, Dachi, but you're not going to get a reaction out of me. Um, I'm excited for the ideas Ranieri has for the next 9 games. Well, I think this the old man is going to enjoy himself. I've been thinking also about that. How must it how it must feel to be Ranieri. Who went on basically on a tour, on a farewell tour last season with Cagliari, and saw everybody being very emotional, being very very nice to him, and sort of reiterate his importance to the sport, his importance to Italian football. And he did it with Cagliari, obviously, is a historical side for him. Well, but now the man who led us in that awful 2018-2019 season, at the end of it, right, he again, he sort of goes there. Remember the curva, puts on a banner, everybody's singing his name, and he gets emotional. He starts crying. I think it was the last game. It was against Parma, I believe, and he gets really emotional. Well, it's now going to happen all over, but just this time it's going to end for sure. Like this time he's retiring, so it's going to be something. And I would argue, I said it before, I'll be grateful whatever happens to him. I've been really admiring his work in these recent months, because to take this team by the hand and lead them to the kind of results that they were able to achieve, fantastic. Not nobody else could have done it, really, in a moment where everyone was 100% confident that this team was going to crash out and burn, where everybody was starting to make predictions about the possibility of dropping. He comes in and takes a team that was and to string passes together, and he takes and he results and unbelievable performances where it's all about character, it's all about personality. All of a sudden, this team is absolutely running through walls for a manager. Not many people would have been able to do that. I doubt. We name even we name even guys like forget about it. Really forget about it, because Ranieri has been the man for the job. Absolutely. The man for the job. So I'm really happy that we get to sort of end the season together with him. This is the kind of thing that I wanted, this season to, if if this season was going to find a turning point, it was only going to find a turning point with him in charge, with Ranieri. This is a man who has given his life to the sport. I'm fairly confident that he cannot wait to be done with this job. He may be all smiles, he may be happy, he may be having fun during press conferences, but this job is taking a huge toll on him. There's huge pressure involved. This is definitely not the easiest situations, even for a guy like him, who has been with his back to the wall on so many occasions. In so many countries he's taken over. I remember, what was it? He took charge of Fulham. He took charge of Fulham. He took charge of Watford in situations where it was just hopeless, and it didn't end well for him. But what he's always tried to do was to impart this the sort of the responsibility and the importance of sacrifice and work. So that's what we will remember him for. I don't know why I'm sort of giving him this farewell speech, But I do think that if we are here, it's only because of him. Because sure, the team has quality. We've said it a number of times that you cannot possibly have a summer market where you sign guys like Kone, like Dovvic, and then you go around saying, "Wow, this team sucks." That's not the case. The team had quality. De Rossi and Juric were both helpless in trying to figure out how to get these guys playing, but it takes more than just that. It takes more than just quality. It takes more than just fancy ideas, which I guess is what De Rossi was trying to get. Remember those opening weeks with Sule and Dybala? They were running into each other. Nobody really knew what was going on. That awful game against Empoli, really. Even the biggest fans of De Rossi, myself included, I mean, we couldn't figure out what that team was trying to do. And then Juric comes in with all his big fancy ideas and has Dybala playing a much more engaged defensively role, limiting his freedom, whatever. I mean, just all over the place. And that was not what the team needed. Ranieri, as soon as he stepped into the club, he knew exactly what the moment required of him. And so, absolutely, 9 games. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of interesting ideas. I think that Ranieri's message to the team will be just the same, just with more emphasis. Today, Paulo Dybala was on the sidelines of Trigoria. He was next to Ranieri, who led the team training. So that's also an important message for Paulo Dybala not to fade into the background, and that's the kind of leadership that Ranieri was talking about going into the match against the Athletic. He said Dybala is a leader in everything for the team. And with this surgery lined up, and knowing what a big blow his absence is going to be for the team, who will have to bear more, they have to take a load on their back, like that song by the band, Take a Load Off Annie. This is what the team will have to do. He knows that it's going to cost them a lot of effort to make up for his absence. It's very important to have him still engaged, no matter if he's getting a surgery, if he's laying on the operating table. I want Dybala at Trigoria. I want him there with the team at all times. Hi, some news about Roma Stadium. Wow, Smoke, you really want to go there? Sure. Roma have the latest news is Roma want to present the definitive project, which was supposed to be presented at the end of last year. At the end of 2024, Roma wanted to present the definitive project to the municipality, blah, 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 blah. Well, obviously, as always, in Italian bureaucracy, as always, in Roman politics, there's been delays. There's been a halt in the digging up of, anytime you dig up something in Rome, a bunch of experts from all over the world have to take into consideration what the hell that is, even if it's just a shoe. Okay, they get it out of their way. Today, apparently, Roma presented a plan for mobility. So today they presented this sort of plan for infrastructure, for how to get to the stadium, for how to get out of the stadium, the metro, the buses, the parking lots, etc., etc. This was presented today. Now the club hope to present the definitive project in April. That's the latest news by Il Messaggero. That's all we can hope for. We've already heard of this delay in construction. We are going to hear of more delays, I'm sure. Right now, the plan is to start building in 2027, to have it ready by the end of 2027, 2028. I don't know. It's all funny to me. It's funny because really it's basically me reading a script, and it's just it happens. It's been happening for years. It's the same story. It's the same updates. It's the same promises. It's the same delays over and over. Agreed, we're thankful to Ranieri no matter what happens. Ranieri has been the father figure many of these guys need, a warm guy overall, but he clearly has a don't fuck with me streak deep down too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Who do you think will now take up the Dybala's role? Baldanzi or Pellegrini or Sule. I'm fairly certain that he'll give Sule that kind of freedom that Dybala had, and have Baldanzi. Well, we saw Baldanzi play an interesting role. He was playing almost like a false nine, so that was quite something to see. But I do think that if you were to give more tasks to someone, Baldanzi or Sule, you give more tasks to Baldanzi. Baldanzi is a more responsible player right now. Sule is the kid on the block who you just give the ball to and you say go and have fun. That doesn't mean that Sule cannot be more than just that, but at this moment in time, Sule, I think, will have the green light to take over the creativity that Paulo Dybala was so famous for. Baldanzi we will see more of Baldanzi, I'm sure, and I have no doubt in my mind that sort of the club plans to involve Baldanzi way more from the start next season. With Baldanzi, we even said it, I think, at the time when Roma signed him for those 15 million euros, including bonuses last year from Empoli. We said it is that signing has to mean Roma are aiming for something more sustainable, more future oriented, and they've done a good job of taking care of him. I mean, Baldanzi is really growing into an interesting player. He may lack the flair, he may lack the goal scoring prowess that we saw with Empoli, where he was like this little Messi. But that's to be expected when you move to a bigger club with more expectations and more responsibility when you're on the pitch. So I'm sure that Ranieri will read the situation correctly. It's also important to note that Pellegrini is staying at Trigoria during this international break. Gianluca Mancini is staying at Trigoria. Cristante is staying at Trigoria. El Shaarawy is staying. So Luciano Spalletti was very clear in not wanting to call up anyone from Roma's senior team. So Baldanzi is off to the U21, but everybody else, including Pellegrini, will have the opportunity to rest and work, right? So who knows? Perhaps I wish, just coming back to a point I made earlier, I wish the best ending to this season, not only to the whole team, not only to Ranieri, who's going to become a senior club executive and help pick the next coach, but to Pellegrini. Because this guy hasn't had it easy at any moment in time. It was his spell at Roma has been difficult, to say the least. We all remember the start, the way he was unable to break through, the fact that he had to come off the bench for what felt like over a year. Then getting that captain armband from Edin Dzeko, having those good seasons, having those terrible seasons, having those endless injuries that he had to play through, whatever. If this is the last 9 games of Lorenzo Pellegrini at Roma, I really wish he can leave a good memory behind, because he deserves it. So, yeah, a band reference is always needed, Joe. Absolutely. So, how do you rate Dovbic's overall season? Do you think he'll do better next season, guys? I've seen stuff being written about Dovvic in our comment section on YouTube that really makes me question some of the memory people have. Because Dovvic, in my mind, has shown way more than Edin Dzeko showed in his first season at Roma. If I have to pick who's the better striker just based on one season, in his first season in Serie A, Dovvic looks much better than Dzeko did at that time. Even though we knew what kind of special player Dzeko was, first season Dzeko is a walking disaster. Let's not forget Diego Perotti, who had come in January, was replacing him in the starting lineup. I mean, for crying out loud, Francesco Totti, who was like 65 years old at the point, was still playing because Edin Dzeko was so bad. So no, Dovvic, I think it's just a matter of getting acclimated. There are dozens of, I mean, really, if you count the number of results number of games where we won or we managed to make it level, thanks to Dovvic. He's been able to score on crucial occasions. I don't think there is a single goal in Dovbic's repertoire that hasn't given us at least 1 point. I'm interested if to look up the games where he scored, because most of them, if I recall, were moments where the team needed a goal to survive, and if they survived and if they won, it was thanks to him. So uh, we're talking about a guy who did not become La Liga's top goal scorer by chance, guys. It doesn't work this way. Please, I would like to believe that people can be more reasonable than that. I know that sometimes it's frustrating to watch him, look lost on the pitch, sure, but that comes with time. Again, Edin Dzeko completely turned it around the second season. But why did he turn it around? It wasn't even because he was putting the ball into the back of the net, because, mind you, he was missing a lot of chances, but because he knew where to be on the pitch. In his second season, Edin Dzeko knew exactly where Spalletti wanted him in the pitch. So then he could miss all the chances he had, but he still score what? He scored 29 goals in Serie A that season. Was it 29? In 2016, 2017. Anyway, what made the difference was that he learned how to cooperate with the rest of the team. Lord Eldor must stay. Marco, I would love for Lord Eldor to stay, but I do think that with the introduction of a new manager, you're naturally going to look for different second lines. So someone like Shomurodov, I'm also sure, will want to play more. Someone like Shomurodov is not just happy being the backup guy. It's not going to happen. I would love to, but it's funny to even be here saying that, because for God's sakes, we remember how frustrated we were when we were waiting for a reliable backup to arrive, and then we had to take the news that Shomurodov will stay. Maybe we can try a 4-2-3-1 formation with an attack of Dovvic, Baldanzi, Sule, Pellegrini in these last 9 games to possibly try for 4th spot with an attack-heavy lineup. Your views on this? Well, I mean, depends against which opponent. You don't want to lose too much balance against the likes of Juve or Inter, or God forbid Lazio. But I do believe that, we've seen Ranieri take chances in recent games, obviously against lesser opponents, but he's been quite experimental, but experimental in a way that he was like, okay, let's give the kid a chance because someone needs rest. So who knows? I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend that I can envision this team revolutionizing their lineup to play completely differently. No, these 9 games have to be played exactly the way you played the recent weeks. You've been successful. Keep it going, kid. Don't change anything. Don't try and be fancy. Don't lose the momentum. Don't lose that steam. Don't lose the anger, the frustration to express yourself as a team following those horrendous first months of the season. The team was dying to let everybody know that, hey, you got the wrong impression of us. So I don't want Ranieri to all of a sudden start, changing things left and right. Pellegrini come back with Paulo out. I said it. I hope so. I wish him the best. I really wish that he can grow into that role, because he deserves it, and also because it would be an ugly way to end things if he were to move in the summer and as the team's captain, not even get a chance to sort of show that, hey, I'm the guy. I'm the captain for a reason. So I really wish him that. Just like I wish the whole team to just get these next 9 games right. Guys, I think we are going to end it here. I think the big conclusion is that Paulo Dybala is out. Yes, but we're not hopeless. We're not hopeless. And that's huge to be here in March and be able to say we're not hopeless without Paulo Dybala. Is a testament to the work done by Claudio Ranieri and the team. Really, it's a huge thing to be able to sit here and say, well, we got this guy, we got that guy. Nothing's over, right? Well, let's see. Guys, I'm going to leave you with this thought. Exactly. Roma are still alive. Paulo Dybala's season may be over, but Roma is still alive and they're in a good position, all things considered. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. This is where you can find all the video episodes of the podcast, and from time to time, this live stream. As I said before, when this thing started, I will try to record these more often. We will be back hopefully by the end of next week. If not, I'll be here and I'll be talking to you guys, because yeah, it's great to interact. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the following. So as always, guys, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for waiting for these live streams. Thank you for watching them wherever you are in the world. As always, guys, have an amazing day. Forza Roma. See you soon.